Now, I've got to say, really happy to have our next guest with us. He's trying to do something that's not easily done, to say the least. Only one Irish basketball player in history has made it in the NBA. That was Pat Burke, famously at Orlando Magic. He moved to the US when he was 4 years of age. Aidan Igiehon is trying to do something similar. He's making his way over in the States. He's from County Dublin. Aidan, it is really good to have you on the show. Thanks so much for your time.
Absolutely, man. It's absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure, man.
Don't come at me with this American accent. I want to hear a Dublin accent out of you. Don't you dare.
It's really crazy because, I've been here for about 7 years now. And, when you come over as a kid, your mind is easily molded because you're learning, and hearing all the American accents because you're in the heart of Brooklyn, you just pick it up. But the funny thing about that is whenever I come home, my Irish accent comes right back, it's right back. So.
It better. And I want to hear it in the NBA. In your first interview, I want you to go full Dublin on us. So listen, an amazing story, and it's great to catch up with you. So born in the year 2000 in the Coombe, grew up in Clondalkin, and I guess life is funny in many ways. Until the age of 12, your deal is being a central midfielder and being a footballer.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. I used to play soccer. I played for Bootload Celtic in Dublin. And when I was 12 years old, I decided to pick up a round orange ball, and it was sorry about that.
You're right.
It was, and then it was history after that.
And so it was the Dublin Lions, I think. You were pretty tall as a kid. Anyone who sees you now knows you've won the genetic lottery in many ways. But as 12, 13, were you made for basketball? Were you tall then?
No, I wasn't tall then. I was actually 5'6" about then, and then I grew a foot in about a year. So when I started playing basketball, at first I was like a point guard's height. I was just a small little guy that could play hard and run fast. And before I knew it, in 12 months, I was a whole foot taller.
Wow, that'll do it.
Yes, sir.
And tell us about life those first 12 years in Ireland. I think your parents had moved over. Your mum had moved over from Nigeria, or certainly Nigerian born, and made a home in Dublin.
Yes. So both my parents are Nigerian. My mom came to Ireland in 1999 and had me over there in 2000, and she's living there still. So she's lived there ever since.
Okay. And how did you find Dublin life for the first 12 years? I guess it's hard to remember it perfectly.
It was home. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was home, and I loved it. All my friends were there. Like, I grew up. I haven't really heard anybody who doesn't like their home. You know what I'm saying? And so I just loved it. I loved this. I loved the city. I loved my friends. I loved school. I loved everything.
So the way you go from at 12, 13, picking up a basketball for the first time, to ending up in New York, that's where things get a little bit crazy. As I understand it, the Dublin Lions, where they were taking part in some kind of Philadelphia Sixers camp, and they spot a 13-year-old you at 6'5", and a few people start to think, hang on, this kid is cut above the average here.
Yes, absolutely. It was just a great experience to even be able to go to America and go to this camp. And that the whole plan wasn't for me to actually stay here. I went to the 76ers camp, as you said, and was given the opportunity to play against pretty decent competition. And it was I was very scared, but I was going to go out there and just have fun, because to me, I'm just an Irish kid playing against the Americans. The Americans are like, they're really good at basketball, you know what I mean? And so I just went out there, and I just ended up being a special talent out there. I wasn't aware that I was that tall for my age, and I wasn't aware because really when I came over, the stuff that I was doing at that 76ers camp, I was not doing back at home in Ireland. It was a switch. Because it's a funny story, because I couldn't dunk the basketball before I came to America. But all of a sudden, when I got to the 76ers camp, I was punching it, like I was dunking it with ease. So I just feel like it was God. I feel like it was God that was just like, okay, this is your time to show what you can do. And it was just like a switch. It was a literal switch. Wow. As much as the people were surprised at what I was doing, I was surprised at what I was doing.
I can sort of picture your mates looking over going, when the hell did this start?
Yes, yes. Especially one of my best friends, Owen Murphy. He was a year older than me, but he played on the same team, and he was looking at me like, when did you start doing that? Like, what's the start that you made? Like, what the hell? And I was just like, I mean, I have no idea. Like, I woke up and I felt good. Like,
That's incredible. And so you end up in the Lawrence Woodmere Academy from 2014, I guess, as a 13, 14-year-old. You're living with your aunt and uncle in Brooklyn. That's part of the thinking as to why you stay there. Lawrence Woodmere Academy, I was doing some reading and having a look. That's not like a traditional basketball factory necessarily. This is kind of an academic school. It's about college prep. So that's an interesting choice. It's not like you went for the high school that's going to guarantee me a route through to the big leagues here.
Yes. I feel like when I look back at my journey and my path, I took a very unique path. I always did the opposite of what you were supposed to do. A lot of people go to like the Oak Hills and the Mather, the Christ the Kings, the big high schools that generate these superstars. And it's actually a funny story that nobody actually knows. I actually went to those schools to like meet the coaches and like work out for them. And a lot of those schools turned me down. Like, we don't know if he's still gonna grow. He's 6'5", but some kids grow and end up 6'6". We don't know. Oh, he's too skinny. And my mom at the time was looking at them like, well, he's 13 years old. Like,
Give him a chance.
Yeah, a lot of these coaches and a lot of the coaches around the world want ready-made products. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to gamble on some kid from Ireland. A lot of people don't. Maybe it's different now, and that's the whole point where I'm trying to do. I'm trying to change the narrative. I'm trying to, but back then it was like it's never been done. Like, who's the kid from Ireland?
Yeah.
So this school, Lawrence Woodmere Academy, they're the ones that took me. They were like, oh my God, yes. Like they haven't really had a lot of prodigies. So and I was going in there just loving their coaches, and my head coach, he still texts me every day till this day. It was just a big family. And but the most important part is that they put the work in with me. They invested so many hours every day, every morning, every night. And I became the player that I was in high school.
So talk to me about mum for a second, because here she is, big change for her, pitch up in Dublin, making a life for herself, your brother, and, all she knows is you go off to some nice camp in Philadelphia at this sport that you've only just started playing, and suddenly I'm going to lose my son. He's going to go to America. I mean, I think a lot of mums are saying, no, you're not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's, anytime I tell the story to my friends, when I called my mom, when I was in the camp, and I told her, Mom, listen, there's a lot of, coaches who want me to stay.
Yeah.
Her initial answer was, God, no.
Yeah.
Come back home.
I know.
There's no way.
You're like, no, mom, since this morning I can dunk.
Yeah. And she asked me, she said, are you that good? Like, are you good at basketball? And my answer was, I don't think so. I don't know, and she was like, so what are we doing here? You know what I mean? And I was just like, I was such a humble kid. I had no idea. And the coaches had to talk her up. Like, listen, like he could change his life. Like he could potentially change your life. He can potentially change the culture. You know what I'm saying? Like he can do this. And I'm looking at my coach like, I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe, I don't know, but she, at first she was reluctant. She didn't want to, but because it's hard. She has 2 kids and it's her youngest kid, and so she didn't want me to, but I'm so glad that she was strong enough to allow me to, though, because
very brave choice. And look, I guess it helps that it's your aunt and your uncle that you can live with when you're at Lawrence Woodmere, and that must give her some peace of mind. Because I listened to an interview with your coach at Lawrence Woodmere, the one you said texts you all the time, and he seems like a really good guy, I have to say. And he was saying, he watched you playing initially, and he could see the physique and he could see the height. He also said, though, you could see that Aidan was like coordinated and had some natural talent, but he said you could also see he had not played a ton of basketball. And, when you think about it, at 13, 14 years of age, you had put in probably more minutes in central midfield with a football than you had with a basketball. And you think of all the other 14-year-olds, I mean, they're on the way to getting their 10,000 hours. So I would think you had to do a lot of catching up very, very quickly in the actual technique of the sport. And how did you find that? How quickly did you get to grips with the intricacies of the game?
In terms of quickness and duration, pretty quickly. In terms of difficulty, it was so hard. It was so hard. I mean, we're talking about, kids who were born with the ball in their hand. You know what I'm saying? Just the little things. I mean, even till this day, it's like there's things that I'm like, damn, if I had played basketball earlier, you would have known. You know what I'm saying? And it was just a lot of coaching. A lot of watching film. And imagine a 13, 14-year-old watching film. He's kind of like, well, I'm just enjoying the game right now. I don't really know the intricacies, as you said. But it was just having good people around me, okay. Solid people around me. And the thing about basketball, there's natural feel to it. You know what I'm saying? Like when you love the game and when you put in time, like you'll get the natural feel. You know what I mean? And that's what I was missing because I didn't play enough. Like I didn't play enough basketball to have the feel for the game. You have to tell, okay, this kid can run and jump. He's really raw, but he's kind of skilled. But it's like if I put him in a 5-on-5, does he know when to hit the cutter? Does he know when to cut? Does he know? You know what I'm saying? That's the little things I had no idea. So yes. Like he had to, a lot of film, a lot of talking to, a lot of coaching.
Yes, I can imagine. I feel for the tempo and the rhythm and when to do it and when not to do it. And exactly. Do you still struggle with that? Would there would a really shrewd observer of the game be able to look at you and have an inkling? I'm not sure if he was playing as an 8-year-old or have you caught up, do you think?
I think I've caught up. I mean, I think I've caught up personally. I mean, there's always things that I can learn, and there's always things that I am still learning. It's funny, and I mean, a lot of really good athletes will know this. When you're playing basketball and you're like a really good athlete, you're gonna make a lot of silly mistakes just because your athleticism covers for it. Like, if you're driving to the basket, maybe you should have dished it off instead of jumping and trying to dunk on somebody really, really far. I would still do those type of things, but it's not because I don't have feel for the game. It's because I can do it. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, definitely, especially at the level I am now, it's just like, it's still a lot of things that I'm like, okay, like I'm still learning. You know what I mean? Like, all right, cool. And it's a lot of things that I'm like, damn, maybe if I would have had a longer foundation of basketball, I would have definitely got. But I watch a ton of film, man. I love that game of basketball, so I could say that I've definitely caught up.
Yeah, great. If you're just tuning in here, we're talking with Aidan Igiehon, born in Dublin, moved to the US, as we've been talking about here, as a 12, 13-year-old. And you graduated from Lawrence Woodmere Academy High School. And I guess where your mum, worried back in Dublin, can have a sense of, oh, okay, we weren't all crazy here, is that I think when you graduate from high school, you're ranked 55th in the country. Every high school kid in the country, right across America, all these people, you come in at number 55. So that's serious. That means you're doing the right thing. Did that surprise you, or do you know from a long way out that you're 55? When do you get word that actually the verdict is in? They have you as the 55th best kid playing basketball right across this huge country right now.
Yeah. You're talking about when I graduated, right?
Yeah.
Well, to me at that point, I was actually kind of upset that they put me that low. You know what I mean? Like it's still like, I mean, still honestly, when you said that, still rubs me the absolute wrong way. And
I was like, wow, this is amazing. 55 in this huge country. Okay, sorry, I'm with you.
Yeah, you couldn't tell me there were 54 players that are better than me in the United States of America. Absolutely not. There was a point that I was 14 in the country. And the thing about America and high school basketball is that when you're a senior, right, and you don't make the McDonald's All-American game, which is basically the top 24 kids in the country, you make the McDonald's game, your ranking fluctuates. Like before that game was selected, I was like maybe 29, 30. And when I didn't make that game, it was like they hadn't even seen me play after that. They just dropped me to 55. And I cried, man. I cried a lot because it's like this the time that you put in. Like you got the people watching and hearing this, you guys don't understand like the grind like that I put in. You know what I'm saying? Like I was, as a 15, 16-year-old, I was working out 3 times a day, like morning, afternoon, night. Like it was like I was obsessed. So when you put in that much time to your craft and somebody puts you at 55 in the country, that ain't like, you know, that's not, you know what I'm saying? So,
oh, interesting.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, but it's to answer your other question though, like for me to be like, wow, that was great. That was earlier. That was like maybe my 4th year. Like I was in 4th year. I was like, wow, like I'm top 20 in the country. This is crazy. You know what I'm saying? But then after a while, that craziness, that wow, it wears off. Now it's like, okay, it's business. Now I want to be number one. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
You adjust. Okay. Well, that is an interesting answer. So I'll adjust my point of emphasis. 55 in the country. What a disgrace. I mean, what a load of crap that was.
Thank you. There we go. There we go.
So let's bring it up to speed then with where you are. So if I was to do like quick potted history, you go to Grand Canyon University in Louisville. And 2 years there, you play 18 games. I was reading it's injury, it's illness. I heard your coach saying there, it just really didn't go his way. And you've now transferred, I think, to Grand Canyon University in Phoenix, Arizona. And I guess, so what, you're 20, 21 now. The hope is what? Change of scene, just changes your look and gets you going and gets you back in the groove again. Is that a fair summation of what the last kind of 2 years have been like for you post high school?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it was quite unfortunate, you know, going to Louisville. You know, I had high expectations for myself, and you know, just injuries, man. Like injuries sucked, bummed my shoulder, you know, my hip, my labrum. It's really unfortunate, and it's like, you know, I learned a lot from Louisville, and the thing about college basketball is that different from the NBA. The NBA is a players' league, and college is a coaches' league. You know what I'm saying? So when you're, but you still have to fit into a system as a pro, but you still get to play. You know, you're a player. In college, if you don't fit into the coach's system, it's hard because he's a guy that doesn't fit. You know, and Louisville, you know, it's a type of, from my position, it's a type of guy that if you're a big guy, boom, bang, 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 you know, hook shot. But that wasn't me. You know, that wasn't how I played. You know, I love to face up. I love to run. I was an athlete. You know, I'm supposed to be able to just be an athlete. You know, go dunk on some people. You know, use my speed, use my pace. But I couldn't do that, and so it just never worked. I guess. And you know, and listen, I love that coaching staff that they had. We were really, really tight. We were really, really close. But then, as a sophomore now, when your sophomore year is over, especially with all those injuries, you have to make a decision. Like, okay, the clock is ticking now. You know what I'm saying? What do you want to do with your life? You want to be a professional basketball player. You want to play in the NBA. You have to showcase what you can do. So then you got to leave because you got to find, you know, a university that fits your style of basketball. And people who are young and just talking, if any young kid from Ireland is just hearing this and you're about to come to the United States and you're going to get really, really good, because I know you guys are, because you guys are going to be great. You have to be smart now, because it's like, don't just go for, oh, that's the biggest school, that's the biggest name, boom, I'm going. You know, you have to, you know, watch film, be smart, watch film and envision yourself in that system. Because if I could do it all over again, I would have watched a whole lot more film, a whole lot more people in my position. Like, okay, I don't play like this guy, but this is how they use him. It's probably not going to work. You know what I'm saying? But now at Grand Canyon, lo and behold, I had tons of conversations with the coach and tons of conversations with all the other coaches that were recruiting me when I left Louisville. And it wasn't about, you know, how nice my college is, and you know how nice your room is, how big your bed is. It was your coach. Like, talk to me about basketball. Let's watch film. How do you envision me in the system? It was more about business. It was more about basketball. So I did it the right way because I grew up. You know what I'm saying? And Grand Canyon is perfect for my style of play.
Okay. Geez, a lot of wisdom there. You're incredibly mature, I have to say, for someone your age. I mean, the way you're talking here is like somebody who's like 20 years older giving advice to kids coming through. And it seems like really good advice. So can I ask you then, because I would say it's very volatile in terms of like who's hot, who's cold. NBA is so competitive. I can see how young players are just written off, you know, with a cursory glance. Were you, when you were looking for a change of scene after 2 years at Louisville, and you said you talked to lots of coaches, but was there a degree of like lots of universities said, what, Louisville, 18 games, didn't make it at Louisville, don't need to think about him? Or like, was there still real interest in you? How difficult or otherwise was it to get that move?
No, it was a lot of interest still, because now there's 18 games that he played. I watched this kid in high school. Like, why did he only play 18 games? Why did he not play? Like, this kid was one of the best players in high school. I recruited him. I wanted him on my team. Coaches are smart. You know what I mean? Like, the public, the fans are going to be like, oh, 18 games, he only averaged this amount of points. He sucks, you know? But now the people who know the game, the people who know basketball, look at it like this. Okay, 6'10", strong, he's athletic, he can shoot it, he can stroke it, he's smart. I'm talking to him. He knows basketball. He watches film. I'm gonna work with him. You know what I'm saying? And like you can tell. You know, that's why there are coaches that making millions of dollars because they know. You know what I'm saying? They're not just looking at they're not watching basketball like a fan. They're watching it like a teacher. You know?
Interesting, because I was slightly worried on your behalf that like these coaches get paid millions, they get paid millions to get results, and you know they just might have such an embarrassment of riches coming their way that they wouldn't be looking that hard or be that shrewd. So that's good to hear. And then I was also wondering, Aidan, so I know various universities have different tiers, you know, of standards. So is Louisville like up here, and is Arizona a big drop? Are they pretty similar? Like, is Arizona, is it a big basketball school? Like, have you had to kind of drop beneath the radar a bit to hopefully reemerge, or how would the transfer be read in basketball terms?
Right. So that's a great question. Louisville's a blue blood school. Blue blood, you know, historically one of the best programs ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, Louisville is like Kansas, Duke, and Kentucky.
Okay.
Big schools. Now, the school I'm at now isn't a blue blood school. They're a very new school. And the pitch that the coach came to me of is like, listen, we want to be like a Gonzaga. You know what I'm saying? Gonzaga wasn't let me just put it this way. Every school had a beginning, had a start. It wasn't like, okay, Louisville in 1904 was just made. You're the best in the country. You know what I'm saying? Everybody had to get there. You know what I mean? So the coach was like, listen, I'm building a legacy here, and I want you to blaze it. We're gonna beat those schools. You know what I mean? And the players that he assembled, it's crazy. We had 5 transfers, just like myself. And our 5 transfers is essentially almost our starting 5, because we all transferred from big schools: Nebraska, Arizona State, Louisville. You know, so this is just kids that are just coming together, wanting to play their game and show, like, listen, I'm messed up for not messing with me. You know what I mean? So it was like, you know, we have a great team, and I think, and I'm not just saying this because I'm biased, I think we can compete and beat a lot of teams in the country. But y'all gonna see that. You know what I mean? But it's
it's the pitch you've just given me sounds like the start of the movie. Players going from different bigger colleges to be the upstarts.
Crazy, nah, it is a movie. Yeah.
Something I want to ask you about, like, my sense of college sports is fairly rudimentary, but I see like the crowds that come to college football games and basketball games, and like you read the stories of how, and I'm not sure it's healthy, to be honest. I don't like it, but the extent to which the football players and the basketball players are superstars on campus and everything that goes with it, good and bad. you got to keep your head there, I would think.
Yeah.
And talking to you, I feel like you could see how superficial a lot of that stuff is, and you can lose yourself, I would think, in that superstardom on campus and think you're in the big time.
Yes, definitely. It's like that everywhere. It's still like that at Grand Canyon. I'm talking about Grand Canyon is probably kind of worse than Louisville. Like in sense of like the stardom, it's almost bigger there on campus. You know, we're talking about in Grand Canyon, people camp out for 3 days before they can get in to watch us play. You know what I'm saying? So it's wild. I'm already walking around campus and it's just like, oh my God, like it's him. You know what I'm saying? And it was like that in Louisville too. But I've been in the spotlight for maybe 4 years now. So it's kind of like, you know, it's how you handle it. You know, some people get lost in the sauce, and they do like, oh my God, like I've arrived, I'm here. You know what I mean? But I feel like the great ones and the people who want to be great, like it's all perspective. You know, they look at you as, oh my God, he's a superstar. But then where you want to be, you're not there yet. Like what have I truly done? Like I do appreciate that y'all love me, but for me, it's not getting to my head because I'm so tunnel vision. Like, yeah, you're telling me, oh, you're great, but I'm telling you, like, damn, I'm not there yet. You know, yes, I'm not making millions yet. You know what I'm saying? So then it keeps you steady.
Good. We're living very different lives, you and me, because I got to tell you, Aidan, when I was in the canteen at NUI Maynooth, people weren't really starstruck. You know, they were okay. They were going about their business. So listen, you've been so good with your time. I've really enjoyed talking to you. Give me the kind of dream scenario over the next year, 2-3 years. So things go great for you personally, things go great for Grand Canyon in Phoenix. When does, look, fingers crossed, and you're talking like the best of the best. When does kind of realistically NBA interest start, or give us the kind of, if everything was to go to plan and the injuries held up and everything worked, what might be a realistic, because I want to be fair to you here, what might be a realistic timeline to be thinking NBA?
That's a great question. So I mean, I have 3 years of eligibility left. Speaking of my coach, I don't think I'm going to use all 3. I mean, you know, I think I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? But it's all about how you play. It's production. If you show what you can do, and buzz is coming. Scouts are like, you kind of hear, you know, like, okay, like you should test the waters. You know what I'm saying? And it could be after this year. It could be after next year. You know what I'm saying? But you know, scouts do their jobs. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to be watching. You know, and the timeline is dictated by me and how well I play. You know, and people ask me that all the time, like, where are you going to go next year? You know, are you going to go that year after that? Depends how well I play. You know what I mean? And I'm going to make sure I play well. So, you know, I'm thinking next year, the year after that. But, you know, I don't get too fixated on all that. You know, right now, you know, it's kind of what, like Giannis said, like, if you're thinking about, you know, the future, that's your ego talking. You know, if you're thinking about, if I'm like, oh man, I was great in high school, that's your pride talking. But humility is the present. So I'm sticking in the present right now.
Okay. And how's the body? Good?
Oh man, I feel good, man. Great. This is the best I've heard in a long time now. You know, man.
Okay, good. So what, you're 20?
I actually just turned 21 2 days ago.
Oh, yes. Wow. Okay. Good man. Yeah. Do you drink? Will you drink alcohol?
I don't really dabble in that, but you know, I did for my birthday, you know, and I was like, but I don't really like it though. I don't know. It doesn't make me feel too good.
I think you could be right. Listen, dude, you're as impressive a person as I suspect you are a basketballer. Listening to you talk, you've got it all figured out there. So, hey, it would be so cool to see the boy from Clondalkin doing his thing in the NBA. So best of luck. Hope the season goes great. Thanks so much for the time. And Aidan Igiehon, it has been great talking to you. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much. Thank you, boss.